Hello and welcome back to Covering It All, where we cover all the information you need to know about custom window coverings. Covering It All is a production of The Blind Broker in Kansas City. And today we are joined, as always, by expert design consultants John Wallace and Bree Atkins, here to answer all your window covering questions. How are you guys doing today?
Great.
Awesome. Are you ready to answer some questions?
Absolutely. Always ready.
Bring it on.
Okay. Lana comes at us with this one. I was told you need a lot of depth in your windows to do shutters. Is this true, and why? And why don't we start with the why in that? Why do people think you need depth for shutters?
You want to take it?
Sure. I think most people picture a shutter being inside the window, which is ideal. You want them to fit as flush as possible. But there are a lot of windows that are only about an inch deep, so that's not really deep enough to put the entire shutter in there. But we actually have a really wide variety of frames that can be used to build out the depth we need. That can be mounted right to the face of the trim for a really decorative kind of frame, or it can be a very slim frame that you really don't notice that much if you have really pretty trim you don't want to cover. So we've actually got a lot of solutions for most every window as far as shutters go. So it makes it very easy to do a shallow window or a deep window.
I'd say the most common scenario where somebody doesn't have depth to the window would be side lights.
Yeah.
Because side lights, there's zero depth in most cases.
What are side lights for our listeners?
So side lights are the window next to the door. So when you have those tiny little narrow windows next to the door, shutters are the most popular thing, regardless of what people are doing everywhere else, because shutters are built on there, so you open and slam that door all day long. You're not having blinds slam across there, shades catching wind, and roller shades will tend to ribbon where they twist like that. So we have a frame called the Narrow Colonial L, which we use on those. That builds it out. We have 2-inch, 2.5-inch, 3.5-inch Narrow Colonial L frames. And with that, we can fit the 2.5, 3.5, even a 4.5-inch louver on those and still have it look uniform across the house. So we don't really need depth. Depth plays a role into making it look a little bit more recessed and a little bit more flush, but in houses that don't have a lot of depth, we don't really need any depth for shutters.
Wonderful. Okay, next question from Denise. I want to do motorized shades, but I don't have any outlets nearby. How do most people power shades?
A couple different solutions that we could do. We could do rechargeable if there's no power solution up top. A lot of times when you're building a house, it is nice to think about if you do want those motorized, because if you hardwire those preemptively, you're good to go. That being said, not a lot of people think of that, or they buy a house that they didn't build, so those windows aren't hardwired. So a rechargeable motor, doing battery powered motors, or if it's a really big window, we can actually run a long cable to an outlet and have it plugged in, so that way you never have to worry about batteries, never have to worry about recharging it or anything like that.
Yeah, I love the rechargeable motors. I don't sometimes have enough space to hide a battery behind a headrail, so if we have a rechargeable motor option, that's ideal. Those typically come in the roller shades, but sometimes people don't want to recharge and have a cable hanging down for a couple hours while it charges. They prefer the old-fashioned AA batteries, and we can still do that too. And that sometimes works when the rechargeables aren't available, if they want a product that's not available and rechargeable. So there's a lot of different ways we can do it based on the needs of the customer.
And now we have the external battery, rechargeable battery too. So that way you can keep that plugged in the back, so that way you're not having the long cable flying up there, and that way you're not fumbling around with a ton of batteries. Because as you keep buying batteries over the year, the price will just keep exponentially growing.
Yep.
With rechargeable, that negates all the need for buying any new batteries in the future.
That's exactly right.
How long do those batteries usually last, people?
That's a great question. You ask it well. All depends on size. I mean, if we're using a 12-volt motor and we're doing a real narrow window, 20 inches wide, versus a 96-inch one with that same 12-volt motor, one will last a year and a half, 2 years. The other one will last 6 months. So it really just depends on the weight of the shade and the density of the material too.
So it sounds like even like worst case scenario, like you have a big giant window, you're still looking at around 6 months, like on the
About average.
Yeah.
For a big one.
Real big one, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. with a heavy treatment. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they're using it multiple times a day. So there's a lot of factors that go into it. Frequency of use is a big piece of that. Yeah.
I always tell customers the first year that you use it, it's going to last 4 to 5 months because everyone new that comes over, you're like, oh, check these out, and starts playing with it. And the newness hasn't worn off. But once the newness starts wearing off, you should get, again, giant windows at least 6 months.
Yeah.
And that's considering, daily usage.
6 months to 2 years is what I'm hearing.
There you go.
It's a wide variety that all depends on tons of different factors.
Gotcha. Okay, last question for today. Amanda asks, why are cellular shades so popular? I think they look outdated. And I have kind of a little bit of a beef with Amanda on this because I actually kind of dig cellular. Sometimes referred to as honeycomb shades, that kind of pleated, pocketed type of shade. Mm-hmm. I kind of like it's almost like a mid-century retro look that I think looks kind of neat. It's coming back. But what are your guys' thoughts on why cell shades are so popular?
I personally love them because they're insulating, they're cozy. Some of my favorite places to use them are in bedrooms and bathrooms. I love the top-down, bottom-up feature of them. They're one of the few products that you can pull down to the bottom part of your window and then reveal the glass on the top part of your window. So it's great for areas where you want privacy on the bottom portion of the window. I just think they're really versatile, and they're soft. They're very easy to work around. You don't have to worry about matching patterns and prints. You can overlap draperies with them or top treatments. So they're just very easy to use, and they're safe for kids, and they're insulating and also sound dampening. So they have a lot of benefits.
I always tell people that is the most divisive product that we have. Hands down. People look at them and despise them, or people look at them and love them.
Yeah.
And typically, if they've had them in their house before, they typically love them because, as Bree mentioned, the insulation is super, super high on those. And they're, again, the versatility. I have a cat that if I leave the bottom part of my window open, he attacks the screen. So a lot of times I'll bring that top portion down, bring that top part of the window down too, still let in a ton of fresh air, but he can't reach that part. So there's many different reasons to have them, especially in Kansas City where it's either really, really hot or really, really cold. That insulation is super, super beneficial.
Okay, thank you, John and Bree, for giving your 2 cents on this episode of Covering It All. If you have a question, comment below, write it down, and John and Bree will do their best to answer. And if you're in the Kansas City area and you're a homeowner or a designer, reach out to us. We'd love to help you find the perfect window covering for your home or client.